The morning air on Terra Nova Colony felt thick and heavy as Commander Taemin walked through the recruitment station halls. His boots clicked against the metal floor with each step. He had been doing this job for 15 years now, and every day felt the same. Review files, interview candidates, sort the promising ones from the waste of time. Lieutenant So Young sat at her desk when he arrived at the main office. She looked up from her screen and smiled. "Good morning, Commander. We have 43 applications to review today." Taemin sat down at his desk and grabbed his coffee. It was still hot, just how he liked it. Any interesting ones? So Young shook her head. The usual mix. A few Zentari warriors, some Vexian engineers, 3 Corlin pilots, and about 20 humans, Taemin groaned. The humans were always the hardest part of his day. Not because they were difficult to work with, but because they were so boring. In all his years of recruitment, he had never seen a human file that impressed him. They were okay at basic jobs, but they never stood out. They never had special skills or amazing abilities like the other species. "Let's get the humans out of the way first," Taemin said. "Then we can focus on the real candidates." So Young pulled up the first human file on the main screen. The image showed a young woman with short black hair and tired eyes. Her name was Jinna Kim, age 28, from Earth's industrial sector. Tae-min read through her information. Basic education at a public school, average grades. Worked as a mechanic for 6 years at a small repair shop. No military experience, no special training, no advanced degrees. Her aptitude scores were exactly what he expected from a human right in the middle of everything. "Standard human file?" So Young said, echoing his thoughts. "Nothing special here." Taemin looked at the other human files. They were all the same. Teachers with basic skills. Factory workers with simple training. Shop owners with limited business experience. Not a single one had anything that would make them useful in the Galactic Defense Force. The other species were so different. The Zentari were natural warriors, born with enhanced strength and fighting instincts. The Vexians could solve math problems in their heads that would break most computers. The Corlins had perfect spatial awareness and could pilot ships through asteroid fields blindfolded. Humans had nothing like that. They were just ... normal, average, unremarkable. "Should I call the first human in?" So Young asked. Tae-min nodded. "Might as well get this over with." A few minutes later, Jinna Kim walked into the office. She looked nervous, like most humans did during interviews. Her hands shook slightly as she sat down in the chair across from Taemin's desk. She kept looking around the room, taking in all the advanced technology and alien artifacts on display. "Miss Kim," Taemin began, not bothering to look up from her file, "I see you work as a mechanic. What kind of experience do you have with military equipment?" Jinna's voice was quiet when she answered. "I mostly work on civilian vehicles, sir. Cars, trucks, some small aircraft. Nothing military." "Have you ever used plasma welders or quantum fusion tools?" "No, sir. Just basic welding equipment and standard tools." Taemin made a note on his tablet. "Another human with limited skills. What about weapons training?" "Combat experience?" "None, sir. I've never even held a military weapon." So Young leaned forward. "Why do you want to join the Galactic Defense Force?" Jinna seemed to think about this for a moment. "I want to see the galaxy, ma'am. I want to do something important with my life. I know I don't have fancy skills like other species, but I'm willing to learn." It was the same answer Taemin heard from every human. They all wanted to see the galaxy and do something important. They never understood that the Defense Force needed specialists, not eager beginners. "Miss Kim," Taemin said, setting down her file, "the Galactic Defense Force requires personnel with advanced capabilities. We need people who can contribute immediately to complex operations. Your file shows basic mechanical skills, but nothing that would qualify you for advanced positions." Jinna's shoulders dropped. Taemin had seen this reaction countless times. The disappointment when humans realized they weren't special enough for important jobs. "I understand, sir," Jinna said quietly. "I just thought maybe there was a place for someone like me." There are plenty of civilian jobs available, So Young added, trying to be kind. The galaxy needs mechanics and other basic workers. You could find good employment on any number of colonies. Taemin was about to end the interview when Jinna spoke again. Her voice was different now, less nervous, more focused. Did you check? Under section Crimson Redlock? Taemin and So Young looked at each other with confusion. In 15 years of recruitment, Taemin had never heard of any section called Crimson Redlock. It wasn't part of the standard Galactic Council filing system. I'm sorry, So Young said. There's no section Crimson Redlock in our database. Are you thinking of a different classification system? Jinna sat back in her chair. She no longer looked nervous at all. Her eyes were calm and steady as she looked directly at Taemin. Could you please run a deep search query for that section in my file? Taemin found himself curious despite his better judgment. The human seemed confident about something that didn't exist. Maybe it was some kind of Earth filing system he wasn't familiar with. It wouldn't hurt to humor her. Fine, he said, turning to his computer. I'll run a deep search for this Crimson Redlock section. He typed in the search parameters and hit enter. The system began processing the request. Taemin expected it to come back with no results found, just like always happened when humans made claims about hidden qualifications or special sections in their files. Instead, something strange began to happen. The computer's processing indicator started spinning faster than usual. The screen flickered for a moment, then warning lights began flashing on So Young's desk. That's odd, So Young said, looking at her screen. The system seems to be working harder than normal for a simple file. Search. More warning lights appeared across the office. The main display screen went black for a second, then came back online. Then it went black again. Tae-Min felt a chill run down his spine. Something was wrong with their computer system. The search was taking far too long and causing system instability. Jinna sat quietly in her chair, watching the chaos around her with calm eyes. She didn't seem surprised by what was happening. If anything, she looked like she had been expecting it. Sir, So Young said, her voice rising with concern. The main database connection is showing critical errors. Whatever we're trying to access is causing massive strain on our servers. The lights in the office began to flicker. Emergency power systems activated with a low humming sound. Through the windows, Taemin could see similar problems affecting other buildings in the recruitment complex. Jin finally spoke, her voice cutting through the noise of alarms and system warnings. You might want to use an isolated system for this. Taemin stared at her. This ordinary human mechanic had somehow predicted that a simple file search would crash their entire network. That was impossible. Unless it wasn't an accident, unless Jinna Kim was not as ordinary as her file suggested. The alarms continued to wail throughout the recruitment station. Red emergency lights bathed everything in an eerie glow. Taemin watched his computer screen flicker between normal display and complete black. Each time it came back online, more error messages appeared. So Young was frantically typing at her workstation, trying to understand what was happening to their network. Commander, I'm seeing cascade failures across all primary systems. The quantum servers are overloading. Through the office windows, Taemin could see other buildings in the complex going dark. Emergency power grids were kicking in everywhere. Whatever was happening to their small office was affecting the entire recruitment facility. Jin remained seated calmly in her chair. She watched the chaos around her with interest but no surprise. Her hands were folded in her lap, and she seemed to be waiting for something. Miss Kim, Taemin said, his voice sharp with suspicion. Do you know what's causing this? Your system is trying to access information it wasn't designed to handle, Jinna replied simply. The regular network infrastructure can't process what you're looking for. Before Taemin could respond, the office door burst open. Chief Technical Officer Han-Woo rushed in, carrying a tablet that was flashing with warning messages. His uniform was wrinkled and he looked like he had been running. Commander, Han-Woo said, breathing hard. We have a massive system failure across the entire facility. Something triggered a data surge that our servers can't handle. The main galactic database Connection has been severed to prevent damage to the wider network. Taemin felt his stomach drop. The galactic database contained personnel files for billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. If their little file search had somehow damaged that system, the consequences could be enormous. What exactly triggered this? Taemin asked. Hyanwoo looked at his tablet. The logs show a deep search query initiated from this office 12 minutes ago. The system tried to access a file section that appears to contain massive amounts of encrypted data. When it attempted to load this information, the quantum processing cores overloaded. Taemin turned to look at Jinna. You knew this would happen. It wasn't a question, Jinna nodded slowly. I tried to suggest using an isolated system, she said. The regular network can't handle section Crimson Redlock files safely. So Young stared at her. You're saying this section actually exists, but it's not in any standard filing system. It exists, Jinna confirmed. But it requires special protocols to access safely. Your standard systems aren't equipped for it. Hyangwoo was still studying his tablet. Commander, the data surge was enormous. Whatever this file section contains, it's larger than some planetary databases. The encryption is unlike anything in our standard systems. Taemin felt a cold realization creeping over him. Jinna had known exactly what would happen when he searched for that section. She had warned him to use an isolated system. This meant she understood their computer infrastructure better than she was supposed to. How do you know so much about our systems? He asked. Jindash looked directly at him. Her nervous demeanor from earlier was completely gone. In its place was a calm confidence that seemed out of place on someone with such an ordinary background. I know a lot of things that aren't in my regular file, she said. The emergency lighting continued to flash. Through the windows, Taemin could see maintenance crews working to restore power to various buildings. The scope of the system failure was becoming clear. A simple file search had crippled one of the most advanced military facilities in this sector of the galaxy. Sir, Hyanwoo said, looking up from his tablet, I'm getting reports from other buildings. The communications array is down. The training simulation systems are offline. Even the cafeteria's food dispensers stopped working. So Young shook her head in disbelief. All of this from trying to access one file section. Not just any file section, Jinna said quietly. A very special one. Taemin made a decision. Whatever was in Jinna's file had already caused massive damage to their facility. He needed to understand what they were dealing with. More importantly, he needed to understand how this ordinary human mechanic had predicted it all. Hyanwoo, he said, I need you to set up an isolated terminal. Something completely disconnected from any network. Can you do that? Hyanwoo nodded. Yes, sir. We have hardened systems in the secure bunker beneath the station. They're designed for handling dangerous or sensitive data. No network connections, maximum security protocols. How long will it take? Give me 2 hours to set up the proper isolation and security measures. Taemin turned back to Jinna. Miss Kim, you're going to show us exactly what's in this Crimson Redlock section, and you're going to explain how you know so much about our systems. Jinna stood up from her chair. For the first time since the chaos began, she smiled. It was not the nervous smile of an anxious job applicant. It was the confident smile of someone who had been waiting for this moment. I'll be happy to show you, she said. But you should prepare yourselves. What you're about to learn will change how you see every human in the galaxy. So Young looked confused. What do you mean? I mean that everything you think you know about my species is wrong, Jinna replied. We've been very careful to make sure you see only what we want you to see. The alarms finally stopped wailing, but the emergency lights continued to flash. The silence felt heavy and ominous. Taemin realized that what had started as a routine job interview had become something much more significant. Are you saying humans have been lying about their capabilities? He asked. Jin considered this question carefully, not lying exactly. More like ... not mentioning certain things. Your species and others in the galaxy have made assumptions about humans based on limited information. We've never felt the need to correct those assumptions. Henwu was staring at his tablet again. Commander, I'm seeing something strange in the system logs. The file search that caused all this damage? It didn't actually complete. The system crashed before it could access whatever data it was trying to reach. Which means we still don't know what's in that section, So Young said. Jin nodded. Exactly. The real information is still safely locked away. What you experienced was just the system trying and failing to access it. Taemin felt a chill run through him. If the mere attempt to access Jinnah's hidden file had caused this much damage, what would happen when they actually succeeded in opening it, Miss Kim? He said slowly. What exactly are we going to find when we access this section safely? Jinnah's smile grew wider. You're going to find out why humans are not as ordinary as you think. 3 hours later, Taemin stood in the secure bunker deep beneath the recruitment station. The walls were thick metal lined with quantum dampening materials. No signals could get in or out of this room. It was designed for the most dangerous. Data in the Galaxy. Hyun-woo finished connecting cables to an isolated quantum terminal. The machine was completely separate from any network. It could only access data that was directly input into it. Even if something went wrong, it couldn't damage anything beyond this single room. All set, Commander, Hyun-woo said, stepping back from the terminal. This system has no external connections. Maximum processing power, maximum security. Taemin looked around the room. Besides himself and Jinnah, he had brought So Young communication. Officer Jiho and Security Chief Dong Hyun? If Jinnah's file contained something dangerous, he wanted his best people present. Jin approached the terminal calmly. She no longer looked like the nervous mechanic who had walked into his office that morning. Her movements were confident and precise. She seemed to know exactly what she was doing. I'll need to provide authentication first, she said, placing her hand on a biometric scanner. The scanner hummed for a moment, then flashed green. A new option appeared on the screen. Advanced authentication required. Jinnah pressed several points on the touch screen in a complex pattern. Then she leaned forward so the scanner could read her eye patterns. Finally, she placed both hands on the terminal and closed her eyes. What's she doing now? Dong Hyun whispered. Neural pattern recognition, Hyun-woo said, reading the display. The system is scanning her brain activity. But this is far more advanced than standard neural scans. It's like it's looking for something specific in her mind. The terminal beeped softly. More options appeared on the screen. Jin continued working, entering codes and passwords that seemed to go on forever. Each step unlocked new layers of security. How many security levels does this thing have? Go asked. 17 so far, Hyun-woo replied, watching the progress indicator. I've never seen anything like this. Even classified military files don't have this many protection layers. Finally, after nearly 20 minutes of authentication procedures, the screen displayed a simple message. Section Crimson Red Lock accessed. Welcome, Agent Kim. Taemin stared at the screen. Agent Kim? Jinnah turned to face the group. My full designation is Field Intelligence Agent Jinnah Kim, Human Intelligence Network, Classification Level Omega. Human Intelligence Network? So Young said. I've never heard of such a thing. That's the point, Jinnah replied, turning back to the terminal. You weren't supposed to hear of it. The screen now showed a file directory with thousands of entries. Jinnah selected one labeled Personnel Summary and opened it. What appeared on the screen made everyone in the room go quiet. It was Jinnah's real file, and it was nothing like what they had seen before. Agent Jinnah Kim, age 28, graduated top of her class from the Advanced Strategic Intelligence Academy on Earth, specialized training in alien psychology, technological analysis, deep cover operations, and systems infiltration. Served undercover in 47 different alien facilities over the past 6 years. Speaks 12 alien languages fluently. Expert in hand-to-hand combat, weapon systems, and explosive devices. The list went on for pages. Mission reports, psychological evaluations, technical specifications, combat ratings. This was not the file of a simple mechanic. This was the file of one of the most highly trained intelligence agents any of them had ever seen. This is impossible, Dalhayan said. If humans had agents like this, we would know about it. Would you? Jinnah asked. How many humans work in your facility, Commander Taemin? Taemin thought about it. Maybe 50 or 60. Janitors, cooks, maintenance workers, clerks. Have you ever really looked at them? I mean, really looked? Taemin realized he hadn't. The human workers were just part of the background. They came and went, did their jobs quietly, and nobody paid attention to them. Jin-Ah opened another file. This one showed surveillance footage from various locations around the recruitment station. The footage had been enhanced to highlight things that weren't normally visible. The human janitor, who cleaned Taemin's office every evening, was shown carefully photographing documents on his desk when no one was looking. The human cook in the cafeteria was recording conversations between alien officers during lunch. The human clerk who processed applications was copying files and sending coded messages through the communication system. Every human in your facility is gathering intelligence, Jinnah explained. They have been for years. You never noticed, because you see us as harmless and unremarkable. Shiho was staring at the screen in shock. The communication logs. I should have seen unauthorized transmissions. You did see them, Jinnah said, opening another file. But they were disguised as routine maintenance reports, supply requests, and personal messages. Nothing that would seem suspicious. She showed them examples. What looked like a simple message about broken equipment was actually a detailed report on security procedures. A supply request for kitchen ingredients contained coded information about ship movements and patrol schedules. This is a massive intelligence operation, Hyun-woo said. How long has this been going on? Officially, about 70 years, Jinnah replied. Unofficially, much longer. So Young was looking through more files on the screen. These intelligence reports. They're about every major power in the galaxy. Zentari military capabilities, Vexian technology secrets, Corlin trade routes. How did you gather all this information? The same way we gathered information about this facility, Jinnah said. Humans work everywhere in the galaxy. We repair your ships, grow your food, clean your buildings, teach your children. We're invisible to you. That invisibility is our greatest advantage? Taemin felt like the ground was shifting beneath his feet. Everything he thought he knew about humans was wrong. They weren't simple, unremarkable beings just trying to get by in a galaxy full of superior species. They were running a sophisticated intelligence network that spanned the entire known galaxy. But why? He asked. What's the purpose of all this? Jin opened a file labeled Strategic Assessment. What appeared on the screen was a comprehensive analysis of galactic politics, military capabilities, economic systems, and potential threats. It was more detailed and accurate than anything Taemin had seen from official intelligence agencies. We've been preparing, Jinnah said simply. Preparing for what? For the day when someone discovers what we really are? For the day when we stop being underestimated? For the day when the galaxy realizes that humans are not the weak, simple species you think we are? Dong Hyan stepped closer to the screen. Are you saying humans are planning some kind of takeover? Jinnah shook her head. We don't need to take over anything. We already control more of the galaxy than you realize. We just haven't been obvious about it. She opened another file. This one showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of highlighted points. Each point represented a human-operated facility, a human-influenced organization, or a location where humans held key positions. The map was covered in lights. There were humans everywhere in every major system, every important facility, every critical operation. You see us as janitors and mechanics and cooks, Jinnah said. But we're the ones who keep your civilization running. We maintain your technology, handle your logistics, process your information. If every human in the galaxy stopped working, tomorrow your entire society would collapse within weeks. Taemin stared at the map, trying to process what he was seeing. Humans weren't just scattered throughout the galaxy as individual workers. They were organized, connected, and strategically positioned. How many people know about this? he asked. On the human side? Everyone, Jinnah replied. Every human in the galaxy is part of the network in some way. On your side? Until today, nobody. The room fell silent except for the humming of the isolated terminal. Each person in the bunker was struggling to understand the implications of what they had learned. Finally, So Young spoke up. What happens now? Jinnah settled into a chair facing the group of stunned officers. The isolated terminal continued to display the massive intelligence network that humans had built across the galaxy. She seemed ready to answer their questions, but also looked like someone who had been carrying a heavy secret for a long time. Let me explain how this all started, she began. About a century ago, when humans first made contact with galactic civilization, we were genuinely excited. We thought we would be welcomed as equals, that we would find our place among the stars. Taemin remembered the history lessons from his academy training. First contact with humans had been routine. They were classified as a developing species, with basic technology and average intelligence. Nothing special, but that's not what happened, Jinnah continued. Instead, we were seen as primitive, useful for simple labor, but not capable of advanced thinking or complex tasks. We were given the jobs nobody else wanted. Cleaning, cooking, basic maintenance. We were treated like ... So Young looked uncomfortable. That's just how the classification system works. Species are ranked based on their demonstrated capabilities. Demonstrated capabilities, Jinnah repeated. That's the key phrase. We demonstrated exactly what you expected to see. When you treated us like simple laborers, we acted like simple laborers. When you gave us menial jobs, we did them well and quietly. She stood up and walked to the terminal, pulling up another file. This one showed psychological profiles and behavioral analysis. But humans are very good at adapting, she said. We learned to watch and listen. We studied every species we encountered. We learned your languages, your customs, your weaknesses, and most importantly, we learned that being underestimated could be a powerful advantage. I was studying the data on the screen. These behavioral profiles are incredibly detailed. You've analyzed the psychology of entire species. We had to, Jinnah replied. Understanding how other species think, how they make decisions, how they react to stress, it's essential for survival when you're seen as inferior. She opened a file on Zentari warrior culture. The analysis was more comprehensive than anything in official military databases. It covered everything from combat psychology to family structures to religious beliefs. The Zentari see themselves as noble warriors, Jinnah explained. But they have a deep fear of being seen as weak. This makes them predictable in combat situations. They will always choose the most aggressive option, even when strategy would suggest a different approach. Another file appeared, this one about Vexian engineers. The Vexians pride themselves on logical thinking, but they have a blind spot when it comes to emotional reasoning. They can't understand why other species don't always make the most rational choice. Donghain was taking notes frantically. This is better intelligence than our own agencies have on these species. Of course it is, Jinnah said. Your agencies? Study these species from the outside. We work alongside them every day. We see them when they think nobody important is watching. Hanwu pointed at the screen. But this level of coordination, this network spanning the entire galaxy, how did you build it without anyone noticing? Jinnah smiled. Because you weren't looking for it. When was the last time any of you had a real conversation with a human worker? When did you last wonder what the human janitor was thinking about, or whether the human cook had opinions about galactic politics? Taemin realized she was right. He had worked in the same building with dozens of humans for years, but he couldn't remember the name of a single one. They were just part of the background, invisible and unremarkable. We built the network the same way we do everything else, Jinnah continued, quietly, carefully, without drawing attention to ourselves. A human mechanic repairs a ship and shares information with a human cook on another world. The cook passes information to a human teacher, who tells a human clerk, who sends a coded message to a human farmer. She showed them the communication network. Messages flowed between humans across the galaxy in patterns that looked like normal personal correspondence. Family letters, work reports, social conversations, all carrying hidden intelligence. The beauty of it is that it uses existing systems, she explained. We don't need secret communication networks or hidden bases. We use your own communication systems, your own transportation networks, your own facilities. We hide in plain sight. So Young was shaking her head in amazement. The scale of this operation. It must involve millions of humans. Every human in the galaxy contributes in some way, Jinnah confirmed. Some are active agents like me. Others just observe and report. But everyone participates. It's how we survive. Tenmin had another troubling thought. If humans are this organized and capable, why haven't you taken over? You clearly have the intelligence and positioning to control galactic civilization. Because we don't want to control it, Jinnah replied. We want to survive in it. Taking over would mean revealing ourselves, and that would end our greatest advantage, being invisible. She pulled up historical data showing human involvement in major galactic events over the past 70 years. Look at the Corlin trade wars 15 years ago, she said. The conflict ended when a crucial supply route was discovered that allowed both sides to avoid economic collapse. That route was found by a human survey team. Another file showed the resolution of the Zentari succession crisis. The evidence that proved the rightful heir's claim was discovered in an old archive by a human researcher who just happened to be cataloging historical documents. Pattern after pattern emerged. Major galactic problems that had been solved by timely discoveries, lucky coincidences, or helpful interventions by humans who were in the right place at the right time. You've been manipulating galactic politics for decades, Dong Haiyan said. We've been preventing disasters, Jinnah corrected. War between the Corlins and Vexians would have devastated 2 entire star systems. The Zentari succession crisis could have led to civil war. We intervened to prevent suffering, not to gain power. Ho looked confused. But why? Why do you care what happens to species that treat you as inferior? Jinnah was quiet for a moment before answering. Because despite how we've been treated, we don't see other species as enemies. We see them as neighbors in a very large galaxy. When your neighbors are in trouble, you help them, even if they don't realize you're helping. She opened one more file. This one showed predictive models and threat assessments. We've identified 17 potential galaxy-wide catastrophes that could occur in the next 50 years, she said. Economic collapses, resource wars, technological disasters, disease outbreaks. We have plans to prevent or minimize all of them. The models were incredibly sophisticated, taking into account thousands of variables across hundreds of worlds. They made predictions about political stability, resource availability, technological development, and social change. These predictions are more accurate than anything our official agencies produce, Hyungwoo said, studying the data. Because we have better information, Jinnah replied. We see things from the inside. We know which Zentari generals are planning rebellions, which Vexian corporations are hiding safety violations, which Corlin trade families are hoarding resources. Taemin felt overwhelmed by the implications. Humans weren't just more capable than anyone had realized. They were actively working to keep galactic civilization stable and peaceful. So what happens now? He asked. You've revealed all of this to us. What comes next? Jinnah looked at each of them in turn. That depends on what you do with this information. You can report it to your superiors and let them decide how to handle it, or you can help us figure out a better way forward. What do you mean? So Young asked. I mean that keeping this secret forever isn't sustainable, Jinnah said. Eventually someone else will discover what we really are. It's time to start thinking about what happens when humanity stops hiding. Jinnah activated a secure communication link through the isolated terminal. The screen split into multiple windows, each showing a different location across human space. Taemin and his team watched in fascination as the true scope of the human network became visible. I want you to see how this really works, Jinnah said, adjusting the display controls. This is a live feed from various human operations across the galaxy. The first window showed a farming colony on the edge of Centauri. Space. A man named Sung Ho was working in agricultural fields, but overlays on the screen revealed that he was simultaneously running complex calculations for stellar navigation and resource optimization. His simple farming tools were actually advanced data collection devices. Sung Ho grows food for 3 different species, Jinna explained. But he's also monitoring soil composition, weather patterns, and agricultural yields across 17 different worlds. His data helps us predict food shortages and economic problems years in advance. Another window displayed a classroom on Mars, where a teacher named the Jin was working with a group of young alien students. The children appeared to be learning basic mathematics, but the real purpose was different. The Jin isn't just teaching, Jinna said. She's conducting psychological profiles on each species represented in her classroom. Children reveal more about their species' thinking patterns than adults do. Her reports help us understand how different species develop mentally and emotionally. So Young leaned closer to the screen. She's analyzing children? She's understanding them, Jinna corrected, which helps us predict how their species will behave in future generations. It's not harmful. She's actually one of the best teachers in the system, but she's also gathering valuable intelligence. A third window showed a repair facility where a mechanic named Junseek was working on alien spacecraft. He appeared to be doing routine maintenance, but the display revealed something much more sophisticated. Junseek has been studying alien technology for 8 years, Jinna said. Every ship he repairs teaches him something new about their engineering capabilities. He can now predict technological developments decades before they happen. Han-Wu was amazed by what he was seeing. He's reverse engineering their entire technological base. All of our mechanics are, Jinna confirmed. We understand alien technology better than the species that created it because we see it from the inside. We know every shortcut taken, every design flaw, every hidden capability. The display switched to show a diplomatic facility where a human woman named HFY was serving refreshments during trade negotiations. She moved quietly around the room, invisible to the alien diplomats who were focused on their important discussions. HFY has been present at over 200 diplomatic meetings in the past 5 years, Jinna explained. She's analyzed the negotiation styles, decision-making processes, and psychological triggers of every major diplomatic figure in this sector. Dong Haiyan watched as HFY subtly adjusted the temperature in the room and changed the lighting. She's manipulating the environment to influence the negotiations, making sure they reach agreements that benefit everyone, Jinna said. HFY has prevented dozens of conflicts by creating conditions that promote cooperation instead of competition. The screen changed again, this time showing Captain Wu Jin conducting an investigation at Galactic Council headquarters. He was examining documents related to recent trade disputes, but his methods were far more advanced than they appeared. Captain Wu Jin was assigned to investigate suspicious activities in the trade sector, Jinna said. What his supervisors don't know is that he's actually tracking resource flows and economic patterns that could lead to systemic collapse. Zheho was taking notes rapidly. These aren't isolated operations. This is a coordinated intelligence network, spanning multiple sectors. Every human you've ever encountered is part of this network in some way, Jinna confirmed. The scope is larger than you can imagine. She switched to a galactic map showing real-time data flows between human operations. Lines of light connected thousands of points across the galaxy, representing information being shared, analyzed, and acted upon. This is happening right now, she said. Every moment of every day, humans across the galaxy are gathering information, analyzing patterns and coordinating responses to problems before they become crises. Taemin stared at the map. The network was beautiful in its complexity, but also terrifying in its scope. How many humans are involved in active intelligence gathering? All of them, Jinna replied simply. Every human in the galaxy contributes information to the network. Some are active agents like me, trained for complex operations. Others just report what they observe in their daily work. But everyone participates. The display showed examples of routine reports from human workers across the galaxy. A janitor on a military base noting changes in security procedures. A cook reporting on the eating habits and health of alien officers. A clerk tracking communication patterns and resource requests. Even the most basic information is valuable when it's part of a larger pattern, Jinnah explained. A single observation might seem meaningless, but when combined with thousands of other observations, it reveals important trends. So Young was studying the data flows on the screen. The coordination required for this, how do you manage it all? The same way any complex system works, Jinnah said, through distributed processing and hierarchical organization. Local networks handle regional issues. Sector coordinators manage larger patterns. Global analysts look at galaxy-wide trends. She showed them the organizational structure. It was elegant and efficient, with clear lines of communication and responsibility. But it was also hidden within the existing structure of galactic society. Our sector coordinators often hold positions as human liaison officers or community organizers, Jinnah explained. Our analysts work as researchers and data processors. Our communication specialists run message services and information exchanges. Henan Wu was impressed despite himself. You've built a shadow government that operates inside the official government. Not a shadow government, Jinnah corrected, a support network. We don't make policy or control decisions. We just make sure that the people who do make decisions have the information they need to make good ones. The screen showed recent examples. Economic data that had prevented market crashes. Intelligence about resource shortages that had been addressed before they caused problems. Early warnings about technological failures that had been fixed before they caused disasters. You've been saving lives and preventing suffering for decades, Taemin said. Why keep it secret? Because the moment we reveal ourselves, we lose our effectiveness, Jinnah said. Once other species know we're watching and analyzing everything, they'll change their behavior. They'll become suspicious and defensive. The cooperation and openness that allows us to help will disappear. She switched to a predictive model showing what would happen if the human intelligence network was exposed. If our existence becomes public knowledge, we estimate a 73% chance of economic instability, a 41% chance of military conflicts between species, and a 28% chance of complete breakdown in interspecies cooperation. Dong Haiyan looked at the projections. You're saying that revealing your capabilities would destabilize the entire galaxy? It would certainly make things much more difficult, Jinnah replied. Trust is fragile. Once species realize they've been observed and analyzed without their knowledge, that trust will be hard to rebuild. The group fell silent as they considered the implications. The Human Intelligence Network had been protecting galactic civilization for decades, but its continued existence depended on secrecy. So what's the solution? Taemin asked. Jin looked at each of them in turn. That's what we need to figure out together. The old system of hiding in plain sight is becoming harder to maintain. Technology is advancing. Security is improving. Eventually, someone else will discover what you've discovered today. She closed the communication links and turned to face them directly. We need to find a way to transition from secret guardians to open partners. But that transition has to be managed carefully, or it could destroy everything we've worked to build. Jinnah activated a secure communication link through the isolated terminal. The screen split into multiple windows, each showing a different location across human space. Taemin and his team watched in fascination as the true scope of the human network became visible. I want you to see how this really works, Jinnah said, adjusting the display controls. This is a live feed from various human operations across the galaxy. The first window showed a farming colony on the edge of Zentari space. A man named Sungho was working in agricultural fields, but overlays on the screen revealed that he was simultaneously running complex calculations for stellar navigation and resource optimization. His simple farming tools were actually advanced. Data collection devices. Sung-ho grows food for 3 different species, Jinna explained. But he's also monitoring soil composition, weather patterns, and agricultural yields across 17 different worlds. His data helps us predict food shortages and economic problems years in advance. Another window displayed a classroom on Mars, where a teacher named the Jin was working with a group of young alien students. The children appeared to be learning basic mathematics, but the real purpose was different. The Jin isn't just teaching, Jinna said. She's conducting psychological profiles on each species represented in her classroom. Children reveal more about their species' thinking patterns than adults do. Her reports help us understand how different species develop mentally and emotionally. So Young leaned closer to the screen. She's analyzing children? She's understanding them, Jinna corrected, which helps us predict how their species will behave in future generations. It's not harmful. She's actually one of the best teachers in the system, but she's also gathering valuable intelligence. A third window showed a repair facility where a mechanic named Junseek was working on alien spacecraft. He appeared to be doing routine maintenance, but the display revealed something much more sophisticated. Junseek has been studying alien technology for 8 years, Jinna said. Every ship he repairs teaches him something new about their engineering capabilities. He can now predict technological developments decades before they happen. Hyunwoo was amazed by what he was seeing. He's reverse engineering their entire technological base. All of our mechanics are, Jinna confirmed. We understand alien technology better than the species that created it because we see it from the inside. We know every shortcut taken, every design flaw, every hidden capability. The display switched to show a diplomatic facility where a human woman named HFY was serving refreshments during trade negotiations. She moved quietly around the room, invisible to the alien diplomats who were focused on their important discussions. HFY has been present at over 200 diplomatic meetings in the past 5 years, Jinna explained. She's analyzed the negotiation styles, decision-making processes, and psychological triggers of every major diplomatic figure in this sector. Dong Hyun watched as HFY subtly adjusted the temperature in the room and changed the lighting. She's manipulating the environment to influence the negotiations, making sure they reach agreements that benefit everyone, Jinna said. HFY has prevented dozens of conflicts by creating conditions that promote cooperation instead of competition. The screen changed again, this time showing Captain Woo Jin conducting an investigation at Galactic Council headquarters. He was examining documents related to recent trade disputes, but his methods were far more advanced than they appeared. Captain Woo Jin was assigned to investigate suspicious activities in the trade sector, Jinna said. What his supervisors don't know is that he's actually tracking resource flows and economic patterns that could lead to systemic collapse. Jiho was taking notes rapidly. These aren't isolated operations. This is a coordinated intelligence network, spanning multiple sectors. Every human you've ever encountered is part of this network in some way, Jinna confirmed. The scope is larger than you can imagine. She switched to a galactic map showing real-time data flows between human operations. Lines of light connected thousands of points across the galaxy, representing information being shared, analyzed, and acted upon. This is happening right now, she said. Every moment of every day, humans across the galaxy are gathering information, analyzing patterns and coordinating responses to problems before they become crises. Taemin stared at the map. The network was beautiful in its complexity, but also terrifying in its scope. How many humans are involved in active intelligence gathering? All of them, Jinna replied simply. Every human in the galaxy contributes information to the network. Some are active agents like me, trained for complex operations. Others just report what they observe in their daily work. But everyone participates. The display showed examples of routine reports from human workers across the galaxy. A janitor on a military base noting changes in security procedures. A cook reporting on the eating habits and health of alien officers. A clerk tracking communication patterns and resource requests. Even the most basic information is valuable when it's part of a larger pattern, Jinnah explained. A single observation might seem meaningless, but when combined with thousands of other observations, it reveals important trends. So Young was studying the data flows on the screen. The coordination required for this, how do you manage it all? The same way any complex system works, Jinnah said. Through distributed processing and hierarchical organization. Local networks handle regional issues. Sector coordinators manage larger patterns. Global analysts look at galaxy-wide trends. She showed them the organizational structure. It was elegant and efficient, with clear lines of communication and responsibility. But it was also hidden within the existing structure of galactic society. Our sector coordinators often hold positions as human liaison officers or community organizers, Jinnah explained. Our analysts work as researchers and data processors. Our communication specialists run message services and information exchanges. Hanwoo was impressed despite himself. You've built a shadow government that operates inside the official government. Not a shadow government, Jinnah corrected. A support network. We don't make policy or control decisions. We just make sure that the people who do make decisions have the information they need to make good ones. The screen showed recent examples. Economic data that had prevented market crashes. Intelligence about resource shortages that had been addressed before they caused problems. Early warnings about technological failures that had been fixed before they caused disasters. You've been saving lives and preventing suffering for decades, Taemin said. Why keep it secret? Because the moment we reveal ourselves, we lose our effectiveness, Jinnah said. Once other species know we're watching and analyzing everything, they'll change their behavior. They'll become suspicious and defensive. The cooperation and openness that allows us to help will disappear. She switched to a predictive model showing what would happen if the human intelligence network was exposed. If our existence becomes public knowledge, we estimate a 73% chance of economic instability, a 41% chance of military conflicts between species, and a 28% chance of complete breakdown in interspecies. Cooperation, Donghayan looked at the projections. You're saying that revealing your capabilities would destabilize the entire galaxy? It would certainly make things much more difficult, Jinnah replied. Trust is fragile. Once species realize they've been observed and analyzed without their knowledge, that trust will be hard to rebuild. The group fell silent as they considered the implications. The Human Intelligence Network had been protecting galactic civilization for decades, but its continued existence depended on secrecy. So what's the solution? Taemin asked. Jinnah looked at each of them in turn. That's what we need to figure out together. The old system of hiding in plain sight is becoming harder to maintain. Technology is advancing. Security is improving. Eventually, someone else will discover what you've discovered today. She closed the communication links and turned to face them directly. We need to find a way to transition from secret guardians to open partners. But that transition has to be managed carefully, or it could destroy everything we've worked to build. News of the demonstration spread quickly through official channels. Within days, an emergency session of the Galactic Council was called. Representatives from every major species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall on the neutral world of Nexus. Prime. Jin stood before the Council as Director of Human Intelligence Operations, a title that had been hidden for 70 years but was now officially recognized. The vast chamber buzzed with worried conversations in dozens of languages. Council Chairman Veltar called for order. We are gathered to address the recent revelations concerning human capabilities and activities. Director Kim, you have requested permission to address this council. You may proceed. Jinnah walked to the center of the chamber, where a speaking platform rose from the floor. Around her, hundreds of alien representatives watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to fear to anger. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's advanced acoustics. I understand that many of you feel deceived. You believed humans were a simple species, capable only of basic tasks. You have now learned that this was not the complete truth. Delegate Coleman from the hegemony stood up. Not the complete truth? You've been lying to us for decades. You've infiltrated our governments, our militaries, our most sensitive operations. We have been working alongside you, Jannah replied calmly. Everything we did was to support and protect galactic civilization, not to harm it. Without our knowledge or consent, Delegate Na Young from the Trade Federation added. You've been observing us, analyzing us, manipulating us. How can we trust anything you say now? Jannah expected. These reactions, fear and anger, were natural responses when people discovered they had been watched and studied without their knowledge. I understand your concerns, she said. But consider this, in the 70 years that humans have been active in galactic society, how many wars have been prevented? How many economic collapses have been avoided? How many disasters have been minimized or stopped entirely? She activated a holographic display showing historical data. The Corlin trade wars ended when a crucial supply route was discovered. The Zentari succession crisis was resolved when important evidence came to light. The Vexian plague outbreak was contained when medical supplies appeared exactly where they were needed. The display showed dozens of similar examples across the decades. Each time, what seemed like fortunate coincidences or lucky discoveries had prevented major catastrophes. These weren't accidents, Jannah continued. They were the result of humans working behind the scenes to protect all of us. Counselor Zethkor of the Military Alliance spoke next. You're asking us to be grateful for deception. You've proven that humans can infiltrate any system, defeat any defense, manipulate any situation. How do we know you won't use these abilities against us? Because we could have done so already, Jannah replied. If humans wanted to conquer the galaxy, we would have done it decades ago. We had the capability and the positioning. Instead, we chose to protect and preserve. She changed the display to show current threat assessments. Right now, there are 17 potential galaxy-wide catastrophes that could occur in the next 50 years. We have identified all of them and developed plans to prevent or minimize each one. The threats included resource shortages, technological disasters, disease outbreaks, and potential conflicts between species. The analysis was more detailed and accurate than anything the Council's own agencies had produced. We could keep this information to ourselves, Jannah said. We could let these disasters happen and then position ourselves to benefit from the chaos. But that's not who we are. Delegate Morvex from the Scientific Coalition raised a concern. You say you want to help, but your methods involve deception and manipulation. How can we build a relationship based on such foundations? Because the alternative is worse, Jannah answered. If humans withdraw from galactic society, your civilization will collapse within months. We maintain your infrastructure. We process your information. We handle your logistics. Without us, everything stops working. The chamber fell quiet as representatives considered this reality. Humans were integrated into every aspect of galactic civilization. Removing them would be impossible without causing massive disruption. You're threatening us, Counselor Chang Ho observed. I'm stating facts, Jannah replied. Humans don't want to leave galactic society. We want to participate as full partners. But if we're forced to choose between hiding our true nature and withdrawing entirely, we will choose withdrawal. She changed the display again, showing what would happen if humans stopped participating in galactic civilization. Transportation. Systems would fail without human maintenance. Food production would drop without human agricultural expertise. Communication networks would collapse without human technical support. This isn't a threat, she explained. It's a reality check. Whether you like it or not, humans are essential to the functioning of your civilization. The question is whether we continue as hidden partners or become open allies. Speaker Yildex from the Cultural Assembly had been quiet throughout the discussion. Now she stood to address the chamber. Director Kim, she said, you speak of partnership and cooperation. But partnership requires trust, and trust requires honesty. How can we trust a species that has hidden its true nature for 70 years? Jannah considered this question carefully, because despite having every advantage and opportunity, we chose cooperation over conquest. We chose protection over exploitation. We chose service over domination. She paused to let this sink in. Judge us not by our secrecy, but by our actions. For 70 years, humans have worked to make the galaxy safer, more stable, and more prosperous. We did this while receiving no recognition, no reward, and no respect. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as representatives discussed among themselves. The implications were enormous. Accepting humans as equal partners would mean completely restructuring galactic governance. Rejecting them could lead to the collapse of interstellar civilization. What exactly are you proposing? Chairman Veltar asked. Full partnership in galactic governance, Jinnah replied. Humans want representation in the Council proportional to our contributions to galactic society. We want recognition of our capabilities and respect for our achievements. And we want to work openly instead of from the shadows, Delegate Coleman objected immediately. Impossible. Humans are newcomers to galactic civilization. Giving them equal status would upset the entire balance of power. The balance of power is already upset, Jinnah pointed out. You just didn't know it. The choice now is whether to acknowledge reality or continue living in denial. Counselor Chang-ho leaned forward in his seat. And if we refuse your proposal? Jinnah's expression remained calm, but her words carried weight. Then humans will gradually withdraw from active participation in galactic society. We won't sabotage anything or cause deliberate harm. We'll simply stop providing the invisible support that keeps everything running smoothly. The implications were clear. Without human support, the galaxy would face increasing problems, system failures, and eventually complete breakdown of interstellar cooperation. You're forcing our hand? Na-Young said. I'm offering you a choice, Jinnah corrected. Work with U.S. openly and benefit from our full capabilities, or continue as before and gradually lose the support you've always taken for granted. Chairman Veltar called for a recess so representatives could consult with their governments. As the chamber emptied, Jinnah remained at the speaking platform, knowing that the next few hours would determine the future of human-alien relations. The age of human invisibility was ending. The question was whether it would be replaced by partnership or separation. 6 months after the emergency council session, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The vote had been close, 51% in favor of accepting humans as full partners in galactic governance. But that narrow margin had been enough to split galactic civilization into two distinct groups. On the research station above Kepler 442b, human scientist Yuna worked openly with a team of Vexian researchers. For the first time in her career, she didn't have to hide her true capabilities or pretend to understand less than she actually did. The quantum resonance patterns are more stable than we predicted, she told her Vexian colleague, Dr. Kethmore. If we adjust the harmonics by 0.7%, we should be able to increase efficiency by 30%. Dr. Kethmore studied the data with amazement. How did you calculate that so quickly? It would take our computers hours to run those projections. I've been working with similar systems for 15 years, Yuna replied. But until recently I had to pretend I didn't understand them very well. Their research into new energy systems had advanced more in 6 months than it had in the previous 5 years. When humans could work openly and contribute their full knowledge, progress accelerated dramatically. But not all sectors of the galaxy had embraced the new reality. On the military station orbiting Zentari Prime, tensions remained high. The Zentari High Command had voted against accepting human partnership, and the consequences were becoming apparent. General Cole Dex reviewed the latest reports with growing frustration. Another system failure in the communications array. The third one this month. His aide, Captain Morvac, checked the maintenance logs. The human technicians say they're working on it, sir. But repairs are taking much longer than they used to. What General Coldex didn't understand was that the human technicians were still doing their jobs correctly. They fixed what broke and maintained what needed maintenance. But they no longer anticipated problems before they occurred. They no longer made small improvements while doing routine work. They no longer shared information that might help prevent future issues. The result was that systems in Centauri space were becoming less reliable. Nothing was being sabotaged, but the invisible support that had kept everything running smoothly for decades was quietly disappearing on Terra Nova. Commander Taemin worked with Jinnah to establish new protocols for human-alien cooperation in the Defense Force. The changes were remarkable. Recruitment applications from humans have increased by 400%. So Young reported during their weekly briefing, and the quality of applicants is extraordinary. Taemin looked at the files on his desk. Each human applicant now showed their true qualifications and capabilities. Advanced degrees, specialized training, years of covert experience in critical operations. These weren't the simple mechanics and janitors he had been used to seeing. These were some of the most qualified personnel he had ever encountered. Agent Hunji has 17 years of experience in deep space reconnaissance, he read from one file. Agent Min Seo specializes in alien cultural analysis and diplomatic protocol. Agent Kyung Ho is an expert in advanced weapon systems and tactical planning. Jinnah smiled. These are the same humans who have been working around you for years. You just never saw their real qualifications before. The integration wasn't without challenges. Some alien personnel struggled to accept humans as equals after decades of seeing them as inferior. But results spoke louder than prejudice. Units that embraced human participation saw dramatic improvements in efficiency and effectiveness. In the Trade Federation territories, economic analyst Jin Woo worked openly with Corlin merchants to optimize trade routes and resource distribution. His insights had increased sector profits by 23% in just 4 months. The efficiency gains are remarkable, Trade Director Pelmack admitted during a sector meeting. Human analysis capabilities far exceed what we had assumed. But in regions that had rejected human partnership, economic problems were mounting. Trade routes that had operated smoothly for decades were experiencing delays and inefficiencies. Resource allocation systems that had worked perfectly were making poor decisions. The invisible human input that had optimized. Everything was no longer available. The most dramatic changes were visible in the council chambers on Nexus Prime. The Galactic Council now included 57 human representatives, making them one of the largest voting blocs. Their first major initiative was the establishment of the Galactic Crisis Prevention Agency. Director Jinnah presented the proposal to the full council. We have identified current threats to galactic stability and developed comprehensive response plans. The Crisis Prevention Agency will coordinate early intervention to prevent disasters before they occur. The agency had access to the full human intelligence network and could respond to problems with unprecedented speed and accuracy. Within months, they had prevented 2 potential resource wars, stopped a disease outbreak before it spread beyond a single world, and identified a technological flaw that could have caused massive infrastructure failures, but the galaxy remained divided. Species and territories that had embraced human partnership saw improvements in every aspect of their civilization. Those that had rejected it found themselves dealing with increasing problems and declining stability on the border between cooperative and non-cooperative space. The differences were stark. Corlin merchant ship Captain Velnox had experienced both sides of the divide. When I trade in Federation space, he told his crew, everything runs smoothly. Supplies are available when needed, repairs are completed quickly, regulations are clear and helpful. But when we cross into hegemony territory, nothing works properly anymore. His engineer, a human named Taeho, nodded. In Federation space, humans can work openly to solve problems. In hegemony space, we're still treated as simple laborers. We do our assigned tasks, but nothing more. The message was becoming clear. Across the galaxy, cooperation with humans led to prosperity and stability. Rejection of human partnership led to decline and problems. A year after the revelation, Ambassador Kalman of the hegemony requested a private meeting with Jinnah. They met in a neutral facility on the border between cooperative and non-cooperative space. Director Kim, he began, the hegemony is reconsidering its position on human partnership. Jinnah wasn't surprised. Intelligence reports had shown increasing problems in hegemony territory while cooperative regions continued to thrive. What changed your mind? She asked. CEO Dashman looked uncomfortable. Our infrastructure is failing. Our economy is stagnating. Our military effectiveness is declining. Meanwhile, the Federation and Alliance territories are more prosperous than ever. And you think this is related to human participation? I know it is, he admitted. We've analyzed the patterns. Every region that accepted human partnership has seen improvements. Every region that rejected it has seen decline. Jinnah leaned back in her chair. What are you proposing? Gradual integration. We want to begin accepting human partnership, but we need to do it carefully to maintain political stability. That can be arranged, Jinnah said, but it will require genuine commitment to treating humans as equals, not just as useful tools. 3 years after the revelation, Commander Taemin reflected on how much had changed. He stood in his office, now expanded to accommodate a much larger staff, and looked out at the bustling recruitment center. The facility processed applications from dozens of species, but humans were no longer treated as afterthoughts. They were recognized as valuable partners with unique capabilities that benefited everyone. A young human woman approached his desk for an interview. She appeared confident and professional, carrying herself with the dignity of someone who expected to be treated with respect. Miss Parkey? Taemin said, reviewing her file. I see you're applying for the Strategic Analysis Program. Yes, sir. I have a degree in xenopsychology and 5 years of experience in cross-cultural communication analysis. Taemin smiled. No hidden sections in your file I should know about? Parkey returned the smile. That won't be necessary anymore, sir. Everything is in the open now. As she left his office with an acceptance letter, Taemin thought about how different things were now. Humans no longer needed to hide their capabilities or work in the shadows. They were full partners in galactic civilization, contributing openly to the prosperity and security of all species. The age of human invisibility was over. The age of human partnership had begun, and the galaxy was better for it.